Database management system is a software used to work with the database. Here there are two different terms. One is database. It is different from DBMS, database management system. All the data and related information, everything stored in at one place in a database. That is only one database for one application. Database administrator, he is the one who is going to control the different activities of the database, and he is the one to give rights to the different users of a database. Dear students, welcome to Computer Science classes. I am Ravi Kumar KR, lecturer in Computer Science, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Students, let us start our discussion about database, and in this session we are going to talk about the database terms, DBMS, features of DBMS, and database users. These are the topics to be covered in this session. Database terms. First one is file. See, what is a file with respect to database? It is a basic unit of storage in computers. Generally, if we talk about file system, file is a basic unit of storage in computers. And the file is a large collection of related data. Next one is, what is a database? This is what you have learned in our previous session. It is a collection of logically related data organized in a way that data can be easily accessed, managed, and updated. This is what we have discussed in our previous session. Next one is tables. In relational database, a table is a collection of data elements and organized in terms of rows and columns. Generally, what is a table? Table is a combination of rows and columns. So, with respect to database, relational database, a table is a collection of data elements organized in rows and columns. And here, all the data are stored in rows and columns that forms a table. That is a relation in database. The most simplest form of data storage, table, is also called as relation. So, this is another name of table is a relation or a table. Table is a collection of data or information in rows and columns. So here, and these rows and columns are organized. This is about tables. Next one is records. What are records? Here, a single entry in a table is called a record or a row. So now you know what is table. It is made up of rows and columns. So one row in a table is called a one record. Table, it consists of number of records, or in other words, the rows are called as records. A record in a table represents set of related data. Records are also called as tuple. Another name of record is tuple. So the data are arranged in the form of records in a table. Another name of table is a relation. Next one is tuple. So this is another name of a record. So each row of a table is called a tuple, or it is a record. And what are fields? Next one is fields. What are fields? Each column is identified by a distinct header called attribute or field. So as we know that table is made up of rows and columns, and each row is called a record, and the columns in a table are called as attributes or field. It is called as field, and this is identified by a distinct header. We used to give a header to a column, so that is nothing but an attribute or a field. Now for example, in a table, employee ID, it is a one column, and this is name is another column, age, salary in a table. So in a table, these are called attributes or fields. Next one is domain. What is a domain with respect to database? A set of values for an attribute in that column is called domain. Means the set of values of particular column is called a domain. Next one is an entity. What is an entity? It is an object of a real world, such as a table, employees. As a table, employee. A real world object, it is nothing but a table. So these are the different terms we use in database. Now let us see the diagram here, an example here. Suppose this is a table. So employee table is name of the table, and this table we can say number of rows and as well as number of columns. And here each row, employee ID, name, age and salary are nothing but attributes or fields here. Another name is attribute or fields. And this, the entire row in a table is called a record or tuple. Another name of record is a tuple. And what is a domain? A set of value of one particular column is called a domain. In this example, 1, 2, 3, here employee ID is one domain. And entire table is called as a relation. Entire table is called as relation. So these are all different terms we use in database. Now let us move on to next slide. Next concept is database management system. So in previous slide we have seen database. So database is different from database management system. So what is database management system? So DBMS, the short form is DBMS. It stands for Database Management System. It is a software which helps the user to perform operations such as creation, storing, retrieving, modifying data from a database. Now, you know what is a database? It is a collection of records, collection of data in the form of table. Table is a relation and table is made up of number of rows and columns. So that is a database. And what is DBMS? It is a software. Database management system is a software used to work with the database. Here there are two different terms. One is database. It is different from DBMS, database management system. So DBMS is a software. It is used to work with the database. And in a database, we can do different operations such as creating a database, storing values in a database, retrieving or recall the data, modifying the data in a database. So DBMS is actually a tool. It is a tool used to perform different kinds of operation on data in a database. So database is made up of, or it's a collection of different types of data. So database management system is a tool to work with the data in a database. And here some of the DBMS softwares are MySQL, Oracle, MS Access and DB2 are different DBMS software. Now let us move on to next slide. Now let us see what are the features of DBMS or database system or advantages of DBMS. So first one is centralized data management. Before we start explanation, I used to give an example of a very good software or any software, a database used in supermarket. Suppose if we take an example of a mall or a big bazaar. So if you take an example, keeping those things in our mind, we can understand these concepts better. So first one is centralized data management system. So data is stored at the central location and is shared by among multiple users. Now I am talking about the hardware and software computers. So in a supermarket, it will be having number of users. They use different computers. And for entire supermarket, they will be using only one database. That is the meaning of centralized database management system. So only one database, and those same database is shared by different users at different locations with different terminals or multiple users. So that is the meaning of centralized management system. All the data and related information, everything stored in at one place in a database. That is only one database for one application. And same applications are shared by different users in particular organization. Next one is control data redundancy. So what is the meaning of this? This eliminates the replication or duplication of data in a database. So what is data redundancy? Another feature is that it's going to avoid duplication of data. For example, if I want to enter a value or enter data twice with the same value, the respective database will not accept the values, and that is the meaning of data redundancy. So it avoids wrong entry into the system or to the database or duplication of data or records. That is data redundancy. Next one is enforcing data integrity. So data integrity refers to the validity of the data it can be enforced automatically by the DBMS. Data integrity means so it expects the right data at the right place. If I talk about example like a student database, in a student database, we are supposed to enter marks of a student in any subject, mainly from 0 to 100 generally. So if I want to enter a marks of a student, the negative, it is less than 0, or if I try to enter above 100, maybe 110 and 200, so the particular field or particular column will not accept the data. That is the meaning of database or data integrity. It refers to the validity of data, enforcing data integrity, another feature of DBMS or database system. Now let us move on to next slide. Next one is data sharing. The data stored in the database can be shared among multiple users or application programmers. Again, very good example is I used to give is in supermarket. Now if we talk about the supermarket, and you can find the number of billing counters. For example, you take around 10 billing counters. So all 10 billing counters, the person working at the billing counter, he will use only one database of the organization. And he will work with the database with different options or different tools. That is very good example of sharing of information. So if there are 10 billing people and 10 billing people use or share the same database of any organization, so simultaneously, that is an example for data sharing, and it's going to generate bills for different customers. That is data sharing. And ease of application development. So easily application programmers develop the application programs according to the user's need. So it is easy to develop an application as per the user's requirement. Next one is data security. What is the data security? So here DBMS ensure that the only means of access to the database is through authorized channel only. So here, if we talk about one database in any organization, database administrator, he is the one, he is going to control the different activities of the database, and he is the one to give rights to the different users of a database. Again, I can quote the same example, or I can tell the same example in a billing counter of any organization or a supermarket. They have rights only to use the software according to the customers or the clients. But at any point of time, they have not been given any rights to modify the data or any values of the item, so on. That is nothing but data security. Next one is, it provides different types of interfaces such as query languages, application programs interfaces, and graphical user interfaces. So what is the meaning of this? So DBMS, it provides different interfaces. Now at this time, you know what an interface. Here interface is nothing but it is the method of communicating with the hardware and the software. So here with respect to database users and the database application. So here, in this example, we can have different types of interfaces. One is graphical user interface, and query languages, and some of the application program. So with the help of different application program, it is possible for us to access the database. That is, it provides different types of interfaces. Next one is, it provides for backup and recovery from hardware or system failure. So there will be a tool in the database system, and it provides or it helps us to take backup, that is backup of the data of everyday activities or transactions, and also recovery from the hardware or system failure. At any point of time, if there is any failure in hardware or software system, so DBMS helps us to recover those data. That is another advantages of DBMS. Now let us move on to next slide. Next one is database users. Means what is the meaning of this, and who are all using this database software or DBMS? So first one is application programmer and system analyst. Now the system analyst determine the requirement of end users, and application programmer develops the software according to the user requirement. So this is the first stage here, and accordingly the system analyst, he will collect the information of the clients or users requirement to develop any software or to develop any database. So based on this data given by the system analyst, this application programmer, he developed a database for the users. That is one of the user is application programmer and system analyst. Next one is end users. End users are the people who access or uses the database for querying, updating and generating report. End users are nothing but the user who is going to use the particular database for their different applications, or they work with the different operations. They are called end users. Next one is database administrator. So what is database administrator? So DBA is responsible for coordinating and monitoring the use of database, and a database administrator, he is the one who is going to control the operations on database, and also he is the one to decide the access permission to the users at different level. That is, they are called as database administrator. Next one is database designers, and here designers are responsible for identifying the data to be stored in the database. So here they are the designers with respect to software, with respect to a particular language. They are going to decide what type of data to be stored in particular database. So they are database designers. Students, in this session, we have learned the different terminology of database and advantages of DBMS, and also what are the features of DBMS. So in my next session, let us discuss about the SQL, introduction to SQL, SQL architecture, SQL commands, and about operators, constraint, case, and built-in function of SQL. Thank you so much.